Hi guys, my name's Amber and I'm a missionary in Honduras. Honduras is under Guatemala. Guatemala is under Mexico. Mexico's under the United States. It's really not too far away. It takes about 3 hours to get there in an airplane. In Honduras, I work with a homeless ministry and we help young people get off the street. We feed the homeless and we have a church that we work with and we have teams that come down and build houses. I also run a children's ministry there. We do a lot of different things to reach out into the community. And then in my home, I am the foster mom to 5 little guys, 2 4-year-olds, 2 3-year-olds, and a 2-year-old. And then I have a 10-year-old daughter that I've adopted named Rosie, and she may come on at the end of the video and say hi. I am currently in Missouri. I came to Missouri to take care of my mom because she was really sick. And then because of the coronavirus and you guys getting off school and all the things that have happened and we've had to social distance and stay away from each other, Honduras has decided that no one can come in or out on an airplane. So Rosie and I are hanging tight in Missouri for a while. And today I want to read for you one of my mom's favorite books. It's about dreams and things that we hope and how our lives don't always look the way we'd planned, but that God's timing will help our dreams come true. We just have to trust in Him, that even if we're doing things that we don't really want to do, He has a plan and a purpose for our lives. Okay, we're going to try and do this outside, but if it gets too windy or noisy, then I'm going to go in the house. I've already tried it once and it got too windy, so we'll see how it goes. I have headphones on because this is a microphone, so you guys can hear me a little bit better. I'm going to read The Tale of Three Trees. It's a traditional folk tale. It's retold by Angela Elwell Hunt, and the illustrations are by Tim Junk. Once upon a mountaintop, 3 little trees stood and dreamed of what they wanted to become when they grew up. The first little tree looked up at the stars twinkling like diamonds above him. "I want to hold treasure," he said. "I want to be covered with gold and filled with precious stones. I will be the most beautiful treasure chest in all the world." The second little tree looked out at the small stream trickling by on its way to the ocean. "I want to be a strong sailing ship," he said. "I want to travel mighty waters and carry powerful kings. I will be the strongest ship in the world." The third little tree looked down into the valley below, where busy men and busy women worked in a busy town. "I don't want to leave the mountaintop at all," she said. "I want to grow so tall that when people stop to look at me, they will raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in the world." Years passed and the rains came and the sun shone and the little trees grew tall. One day, 3 woodcutters climbed the mountain. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree and said, "This tree is beautiful. It is perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the first tree fell. "Now I shall be made into a beautiful chest," thought the first tree. "I shall hold wonderful treasure." The second woodcutter looked at the second tree and thought, "This tree is strong. It is perfect for me." And with a swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell. "Now I shall sail mighty waters," thought the second tree. "I shall be a strong ship fit for kings." The third tree felt her heart sink when the last woodcutter looked her way. She stood straight and tall and pointed bravely to heaven. But the woodcutter never even looked up. "Any kind of tree will do for me," he muttered. With a swoop of his shining axe, the third tree fell. The first tree rejoiced when the woodcutter brought him to a carpenter's shop. But the busy carpenter was not thinking about treasure chests. Instead, his work-worn hands fashioned the tree into a feed box for animals. The once beautiful tree was not covered with gold or filled with treasure. He was coated with sawdust and filled with hay for hungry farm animals. The second tree smiled when the woodcutter took him into a shipyard. But no mighty sailing ships were being made that day. Instead, the once strong tree was hammered and sawed to a simple fishing boat. Too small and too weak to sail an ocean or even a river, he was taken to a little lake. Every day he brought in loads of dead, smelly fish. The third tree was confused when the woodcutter cut her into strong beams and left her in the lumber yard. What happened? The once tall tree wondered. All I ever wanted to do was to stay on the mountaintop and point to God. Many, many days and nights passed, and the three trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, golden starlight poured over the first tree as a young woman placed her newborn baby in the feed box. I wish I could make a cradle for him, her husband whispered. The mother squeezed his hand and smiled as the starlight shone on the smooth and sturdy wood. This manger is beautiful, she said. And suddenly the first tree knew he was holding the greatest treasure in the world. One evening, a tired traveler and his friends crowded into the old fishing boat. The traveler fell asleep as the second tree quietly sailed out into the lake. Soon a thundering and thrashing storm arose, and the little tree shuddered. He knew he did not have the strength to carry so many passengers safely through the wind and the rain. The tired man awakened, and he stood up and stretched out his hand and said, "Peace." And the storm stopped as quickly as it had begun. And suddenly the second tree knew he was carrying the King of heaven and earth. One Friday morning, the third tree was startled when her beams were yanked from the forgotten woodpile. She flinched as she was carried through an angry, jeering crowd. She shuddered when soldiers nailed a man's hands to her. She felt ugly and harsh and cruel. But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree knew that God's love had changed everything. It had made the first tree beautiful. It had made the second tree strong. And every time people thought of the third tree, they would think of God. That was better than being the tallest tree in the world. I like this story, especially right now, because I don't want to be in Missouri. I want to be in Honduras, where I'm serving God and doing what God has called me to do and what I believe the dream He put on my heart. But God knows His timing, and He knows that being here is where I need to be right now. And God knows that about you too. So I want you to remember that when you're bored or you're just stuck at home and wish you could go do something else. That God knows where you are and He has a plan for you, and He wants you right where you are today. So trust Him and follow Him, and He will make your dreams come true. Hi guys, this is my daughter Rosie. Rosie,
Hi.
say hi. What do you think about being in the United States?
Good, but it's fun and good, but I just wish I could go back home and spend some time with my siblings.
What are we doing while we're staying here?
Homeschool and just sitting at home.
But you're getting to know your cousins, and that's been fun, getting to know more of your family, right?
Yeah.
You want to say anything to these kiddos?
Make sure you study the whole way until coronavirus is over. Bye.